Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're looking into something pretty interesting. How to think more effectively. And maybe it's not just about being critical.
Right. It's more about creativity, engagement, even empathy playing a role.
And we're digging into Edward B. Berger's book, Making Up Your Own Mind, Thinking Effectively Through Creative Puzzle Solving. It's from 2019, mixes essays, reflections, and actual puzzles.
It does. And our plan today is really to unpack those core ideas. We want to explore how his approach might help you think more insightfully, more creatively.
Yeah, and maybe even change how you look at challenges, seeing them less like, roadblocks and more like puzzles you can actually solve.
Exactly. Turning life's hurdles into solvable puzzles.
Okay, so where does he start? The book kicks off looking at education itself.
Right.
And it paints a picture that's maybe different from the usual view.
Definitely. He contrasts the traditional idea, education as basically getting a diploma, ticking boxes, landing that first job.
Like an obstacle course, he calls it. Just hurdles to get a piece of paper.
Yeah, mindless hurdles. He argues that view completely misses the point. The real goal, he says, isn't the paper or the job. It's the journey.
The intellectual journey.
That's where the growth is. That's how you learn to make up your own mind, which he basically equates to creating yourself. It's transformation.
That's a really different way to frame it. And a big part of that seems to be this distinction he makes between thinking about something and thinking through it. What's that about?
Well, thinking about something can be pretty surface level, summarizing, maybe recalling facts.
Okay.
But thinking through it, that's deeper. It means learning the actual ways of thinking, the pathways that come from that subject.
So you internalize the method.
Exactly. You learn the mindset of, say, a historian or a physicist, and then you can potentially apply that mindset somewhere totally different.
Ah, okay. Adopting the lens, not just the facts.
Precisely. He mentions the paideia philosophy at Southwestern University as an example. It's this commitment across all subjects.
In every course.
Yeah, to thinking through the material. So someone studying art history learns to see patterns and connections they might then use to understand, biological cell structures.
Wow. Or math finding patterns in poetry, like the book says.
Right. He calls it making the invisible visible. That moment of connection, that paideia moment.
Like that, a moment of excited discovery.
It is. And the book stresses, you're the one who has to make it happen. You can't just sit back.
You have to generate the opportunities. Be the hero of your own story, basically.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. You're the central character.
Okay, so if the aim is this kind of deep intellectual growth, what does effective thinking actually look like, according to Berger? How is it different from, say, critical thinking?
Good question. He sees effective thinking as broader. Critical thinking is definitely part of it. That objective analysis is key.
Sure.
But effective thinking adds more layers. Creativity, originality, genuine engagement, and even empathy.
Empathy.
Yeah. He points out critical can sometimes have that negative edge, finding flaws. Effective is meant to be more positive, more constructive. These ideas come from a framework he co-developed, the 5 elements of effective thinking.
Okay, the 5 elements. So this is like the roadmap for this kind of thinking.
Sort of. They're 5 interconnected mindsets or practices. It forms a kind of cycle. Starts with deep understanding, goes through things like failure and questions, and ends with being open to change. Understanding and change kind of bookend the whole thing.
Got it. Let's walk through them. First one, understand deeply. You said earlier, understanding isn't just yes or no.
Exactly. That's fundamental. We tend to think, okay, I get it, or I don't. But it's a spectrum. There's always more depth you can find.
So you should never assume you fully understand.
Right. The moment you think you've got it all figured out, you start asking questions, you close off possibilities, the mindset shift is, okay, there are parts of this I don't get. I need to uncover them.
How do you do that practically?
Well, one technique he suggests is add the adjective. Keep describing something with more and more precision. Keep adding descriptors until one reveals something hidden, some confusion, or maybe lets you see it from another angle.
Like with that cutting boards puzzle example, adding different colors suddenly changes everything.
Precisely. That small act of adding specificity, of understanding just a little bit more deeply what a domino does, unlocks the whole puzzle. It reveals the color structure.
Okay, using precision to see deeper. Makes sense. What's element 2?
Fail effectively. This one's huge because, well, we're usually taught that failing is bad, right?
Yeah, avoid it at all costs.
But the book argues failure isn't the opposite of success. It's often a necessary step towards it. It's crucial for deeper understanding and finding new knowledge.
So learning from mistakes, basically.
Yes, but it's more active than that. It's about intentionally using failure, like the practice fail fast.
Fail fast.
Yeah, don't obsess about getting it perfect the first time. Just try something. Do it quickly, even if it's lousy, like writing a really terrible first draft of something.
Right.
Now you've got something real to react to. You can revise it. Revision is responding to that initial failure. The insight, the epiphany, often comes from wrestling with that imperfect first attempt.
Ah, I see. Like testing an extreme idea in that dog and cat puzzle, assuming they're all paths. That's a kind of fast failure that reveals the pattern.
Exactly. Fail fast, learn faster.
Okay. Element 3.
Create questions. This is what shifts you from being passive to being active. If you're always generating questions, you're driving your own understanding forward.
Be your own Socrates, like you mentioned.
Yeah, essentially. Asking those bigger meta questions like, wait, what's the real problem I'm trying to solve here? Make sure you're aiming at the right target.
Good point.
Or asking really simple questions like, what's the absolute simplest version of this look like? Sometimes the biggest breakthroughs come from looking at the trivial case.
And what about when you're stuck?
That's where ask something else comes in. Even if you're not stuck, try asking a different but related question. Or consider the total opposite point of view. It just opens up new perspectives.
Like with the 3 switches puzzle, asking, can I do this better, or what else could I use? Pushes you beyond the obvious.
Exactly. Questions fuel the whole engine.
Okay, element 4. Go with the flow of ideas.
Right. So you have an idea. That's great. But it's not the end. It's the starting point. The book says the real creative heavy lifting begins after you get the idea.
It's about where you take it.
Yeah. Connect it to something else. Can you generalize it? Can you apply it somewhere totally unexpected? That's how you engineer creativity.
Like the telephone example, he uses rotary to touch tone to cell phones to, well, who knows what's next.
Yeah.
Each step flowed from the last.
Perfect example. It makes it hard to even imagine the next leap from where we are now. So the challenge is always, what's next? How can I extend this? Repurpose it.
And part of that flow is exploring all the paths.
Definitely. Run down all paths, even the ones that seem impossible or like dead ends. Because figuring out why something can't work often tells you exactly why the other path must work. It clarifies the boundaries.
That sounds related to embracing doubt, too.
Absolutely crucial. Going with the flow means being willing to doubt your own assumptions, your own first thoughts, considering counterintuitive ideas, really trying to understand the opposite side, not just to knock it down.
Asking, what if I'm wrong?
Yes, the book puts it starkly. The opposite of doubt isn't certainty, it's being closed-minded. You need that openness.
Like the farmer crossing the river puzzle, you have to consider going backward, which feels wrong at first.
That's a classic. You have to doubt the always forward assumption and just keep pushing the idea. Don't let go until it leads somewhere new or gives you an insight. Persistence matters.
Okay, that leads us to the final element, number 5. Be open to change.
This is kind of the outcome, the culmination. If you're really applying these other mindsets, change is inevitable. It's the essence of real education and growth.
It's not about being totally rewritten, though.
No, not like reprogramming. More like steady, incremental improvements, becoming a slightly better, more thoughtful version of yourself over time.
Change can feel unsettling, though.
It definitely can. But the book argues that fostering it, not rushing it, but being open to it, is vital. A healthy mind is one that's in a state of, well, continual flux, adapting and growing. Applying effective thinking changes how you see things, how you approach problems. It changes you.
And the puzzles in the book are the practice ground for all this.
Yes, that's so important. They're not IQ tests. They're the playground, as he calls it, a place to intentionally practice these mindsets.
So the goal isn't just speed or getting the right answer.
Not at all. He mentions a course where puzzles are assigned just to provoke thinking, to get students to apply multiple practices, to look at the puzzle from different angles.
Right. You quoted it earlier. Solving the puzzle is like receiving the diploma. It's not the thing. The mindful journey is the thing.
Exactly. It's about strengthening those thinking muscles, not just collecting answers.
Okay, let's make this concrete. Can we look at a couple of those puzzles and see how these mindsets actually help you work through them? You mentioned the cutting boards one before. Tiling the modified chessboard.
Yeah, perfect for understand deeply. If you just see it as placing dominoes, you're lost. But if you add the adjective, each domino covers one white and one black square, you suddenly understand the color parity. Removing two squares of the same color makes it impossible.
Or Start with a simple. Try a tiny 2x2 board. If you remove two squares of the same color, you instantly see you have two squares left of the other color, which a domino can't cover.
Right. Deepening the understanding at the core constraint reveals the answer without trying a single placement.
Okay, what about the three switches puzzle? One trip to figure out which switch controls a light bulb in another room.
That's great for fail effectively and create questions. The first, maybe failed idea is one switch, one trip. Okay, inefficient.
Right, that doesn't work in one trip for all three.
So you ask, how can I get more information per trip? Or can I use another sense? That leads to the idea of heat. Turn one on, leave it, turn it off, turn a second one on, go check.
And the hot bulb corresponds to the first switch, the lid bulb to the second, the cold one to the third.
Exactly. The initial, not quite right plan leads you to ask the questions that unlock the elegant solution. It's responding to the failure of the simple approach.
How about a cross farmer needs to cross a river? The fox, goose, grain one. Everyone knows that one.
Classic riddle, yeah. And it works because it forces you to embrace doubt or consider the counterintuitive. Your instinct is always forward progress across the river.
But that gets you stuck.
Right. The solution requires you to doubt that always forward idea and bring something back. You have to be open to that seemingly backward step to move forward overall.
Okay, one more maybe. What about a slow burn? Timing 45 minutes with two fuses that each burn for 60 minutes.
Ah, yeah. That's good for create questions and go with the flow. You might start by asking a simpler question. Can I measure 30 minutes?
Right? Light one fuse at both ends. It burns in 30 minutes.
Okay, so that's an idea. Now go with the flow. How can you use that? Well, if you light the first fuse at both ends and the second fuse at one end simultaneously,
The first one burns out in 30 minutes.
at which point the second fuse has 30 minutes of burn time left. If you then light the other end of that second fuse,
It will burn out in half the remaining time, so 15 minutes.
exactly. 30 minutes plus 15 minutes gives you 45. You get there by asking easier questions and letting the ideas flow and build on each other.
So the puzzles really aren't just brain teasers. They're structured practice for these thinking habits.
That's the whole idea. You're actively training yourself.
And the book makes it clear this isn't just about puzzles. It takes effort, practice, mindfulness even.
Yeah, practice is key. You have to intentionally apply these mindsets, not just to the book's puzzles, but to work problems, relationship issues, learning anything new. It's about transferability.
And mindfulness, how does that fit?
He mentions it as a way to help quiet the mental chatter, improve focus, recharge, maybe even foster empathy, which, remember, is part of effective thinking. Helps counter the constant digital noise.
And connecting with other people helps too.
Definitely. Discussing ideas, tackling challenges together, like those president's table dinners he describes. It's another way to practice asking questions, seeing different viewpoints, connecting ideas. Learning gets amplified in community.
Okay, so pulling it all together, this idea of effective thinking from Berger's book is really this active, dynamic way of engaging with the world. It's analytical, yes, but also creative, resilient, empathetic, and changeable.
It's a practice you can learn and apply, using challenges like these puzzles
Yeah.
as a way to hone those skills.
Sharpening your thinking, basically, to keep growing throughout life.
Exactly. Actively making up your own mind day by day.
Which brings us to a really interesting final thought. If any challenge, big or small, work or personal, really can be seen as just another puzzle, one that's waiting for you to apply this kind of effective thinking. What part of your life are you ready to start seeing differently and intentionally think through, starting today?